Good morning and welcome to the attic. Slightly chaotic here because we are about to drive to Poland. Zoff is still halfway through fitting and building our new enormous gate, and we're hoping to get that done before we go away, otherwise the cat can never leave the house again. Fun times. I want to chat today about how I've somehow become a landscape photographer over the last 6 months, 10 months, having never really been a landscape photographer before and not really having any interest in landscape photography either. So it kind of feels like half of the world's photographers have become landscape photographers in the last year, thanks to the global pandemic. And weirdly, it wasn't until about 6 months into the global pandemic that I actually started taking my camera into the forest. When you consider that if you walk for 10 minutes in any direction from my house, you will be in the trees, that's kind of a weird thing. And I've always had a bit of aversion isn't quite the right word, but it's never really interested me. And that's weird because I love watching videos by the likes of landscape photographer Thomas Heaton. I love seeing what goes into his process, how he finds locations, all of the hard work, his attention to detail, his equipment, everything. And for some reason, even though I enjoy watching those videos and I love looking at these photographs, it's never really appealed. It's kind of like if you see a sunset, or if I see a sunset, I don't really feel the urge to photograph it. Or if I'm on holiday and there's some, classic monument, I don't really feel the urge. Leaning Tower of Pisa, Eiffel Tower, I'm not really one to pull out the camera and photograph it. Kind of as if something being pretty or being important isn't really enough to make me want to, capture it in a photograph. And I think part of it is because I don't want to make something that is perhaps cliched in my eyes. And also there's a sense that there are loads of really good landscape photographers out there who would be able to photograph the exact same thing way better than I could, and produce a far better image and probably be far more patient and come to it in much better light. And I think also some of it comes from the fact that I've always photographed people, or I've always explored mostly urban locations. So heading off into nature to capture a mountain or a river or something, just, I don't know. It doesn't really tell a story about a person or an event. It's just a thing. And for some reason, that's just never, given me motivation to become engaged with it. We live in the middle of nowhere, in a tiny village. The forest is right there. It's in every direction. And my first job each morning is to take our Bulgarian rescue dog, who is incredibly cute, but also pretty dangerous, unfortunately, having been mistreated. My job is to take him on a walk each morning. And just, 6 months into the pandemic, I think I'd photographed pretty much every door in our village. I got an obsession with doors. There's some really nice doors, if you like doors. And finally, I started heading a bit further afield into the forest each morning and taking the camera with me. If nothing else, just to have something to photograph, something that I could play with in Lightroom, because obviously all of my photography work just fell off a cliff. All of the personal projects that I'd planned for the year evaporated. So I needed something to do. And then around about November, the morning started late enough that I got up early enough that the sunrise in the forest was just absolutely amazing. And I kind of felt motivated to photograph it, not for anyone else, but mostly just for me. And I didn't really do anything with the photographs. I put a few on Instagram stories, and suddenly people were responding saying, oh man, these photos are really good. And the moments that I was finding, they kind of felt unique to me, because the light in the forest it changes so fast, and these moments are pretty fleeting. It can change, minute to minute. And I was finding corners of the forest that no one really, well, maybe they do and I just don't realize, but at that time of the morning, the forest is empty, and no one goes to these places. At least that's what it felt like. So to me, it felt really special. I was going somewhere unique to me, seeing light that no one else was seeing. And this is the funny thing. Fontainebleau Forest is, I think, 97 square miles. It's a huge, huge forest. And it's actually France's largest tourist attraction. It gets 12 million, 13 million visitors a year. And a lot of the time, the forest is absolutely rammed with people, especially, a sunny weekend. Throughout the summer, it's just heaving with tourists from across Europe and across the world. I've been coming to this forest for more than 15 years as a visitor, and then my partner and I, we moved here a couple of years ago. And I think what I've realized is that part of my reason for now photographing the forest is because of this personal connection. And especially in the morning, this is a time that's special for me. It's just me and the dog, and there is literally no one else. Occasionally I'll bump into another dog walker or maybe a jogger, and if I leave my phone at home and let Stefan the dog make all of the decisions, then you can still get lost. It's not much of a wilderness here. He's still an hour's drive south of Paris, and however big the forest is, it's a patchwork of farmland, forest, roads, paths. But you do get to explore. And I really like the idea of the forest as an enchanted place, somewhere where you can get lost and lose yourself to your imagination a bit. Throughout literature, the forest is often this magical place that's, a place to be free. It can be transformative. Visibility is really reduced. And I think also maybe society's rules don't quite apply in the same way. And that's part of the sense of freedom and the little bit of danger that you feel. However sanitized it may have become with logging and footpaths and conservation. Sunset is just not the same, for whatever reason. In the mornings, I feel like I can relax and take my time, and I'm not chasing the light. Whereas with sunset, you know that it's disappearing. I mean, it's disappearing in the morning as well. Obviously, the light's getting harder, but you still somehow just feel a bit more relaxed in the morning. Maybe it's just the lack of people as well. That's probably a huge factor. But I don't feel like I'm chasing the light in the mornings. And the other advantage in the mornings is that you often get this slight haze. So the sun, if it's a clear morning, even if it's a really strong sun, it's often just softened a little bit by this haze that just sits in the treetops. On foggy days, my wife and I, we just quit all of our work, grab our cameras and head to the forest. We've only had I think 1 or 2 days like that since I started photographing the forest. Fog here, for whatever reason, unfortunately, is quite rare. But yeah, those are really magical days. And being out in the forest, it's therapeutic. So trees are now proven to improve your mood. But not only that, they also boost your immunity as well. So they're good for your health. And, during a global pandemic, a boost to your immunity can only be a good thing. And also, given the challenges to mental health over the last year, being able to just walk into the forest, incredibly privileged and fortunate to have that there. And it's been a godsend. Now, I head out with a cheap lens. It's manual focus, it's Chinese, it's terrible image quality. I often put quite a heavy edit on my photos, and to be honest, I don't really care. I mean, I'm photographing for myself mostly. I'm not photographing for other people. This is what I enjoy. And strangely, I actually have started to enjoy Instagram for the first time in years because I'm just using it as a diary and sharing stuff that I never used to photograph, and somehow my followers seem to be coming along with it. Somehow I've become a landscape photographer. I mean, it's not a profession and it's not earning me loads of money, but that's never a reason to do landscape photography, I think. And, that's not where I find value in photographing the forest, that's for sure. So the pandemic certainly hasn't been a good time for a lot of creative people. But I'm incredibly grateful that it's given me an opportunity to find a new appreciation of the forest, of simple things like a sunrise, of nature, the world around us, and connecting with all of that through my camera. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that. Usual stuff. I've got presets you can buy. I've got packs of postcards you can buy, although I'm going on holiday and I've run out of stock, so that's probably not a great time to advertise those. If you like the video, you can click on the thumbs up thing, and if you leave a comment, it helps me. And I've got a Patreon and usual stuff that people say at the end of these videos. And I hate outros. And once again, this video is just going to stop.